Hi, I'm Mayor David Stahl, and welcome to another edition of Totally East Brunswick, a show dedicated about all that's great in our community. I'm joined today with Elliot Taubenslag, the founder and director of Children's Summer Theater, and there's nothing greater in our community over the last 50 years than the Children's Summer Theater. So Elliot, I really welcome you to the show today and appreciate you spending some time with us.
Well, thank you.
Why don't you first start off and just tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, as some people know, some people don't know, I was born in Juarez, Mexico. And we came to America sometime in the early 1930s, in the middle of the Depression, and we lived in an area where there weren't too many Jewish children there, and so it was a little difficult for me. There was a lot of problems. However, my father owned a farm where we grew, which we had bought from bootleggers, and there were lots of grape leaves all over the place. A family in New Brunswick wanted the grape leaves for their dietary needs and so on, and the father worked with the sanitation department, so my father made a deal with him. If he would bring me he'd bring him the Sunday newspapers, comics, then we would give him all the grape leaves he could use. And as I said, it was in the Depression, and no one could afford to buy newspapers, or very few people were at the school I went to. And so that I worked a deal out with the kids. If you stop beating me up, I'll tell you or read you the funny papers and share them with you during the recess. And after a while, I was getting so good at it, and I really enjoyed performing the newspapers. There was a little hole that had been started as a house that was never finished, and so it was only a two-room schoolhouse. And when the principal, who went around to different schools, came to my school, teacher would say, "Elliot, take the kids out and read them the funny papers." And so we did, but then we started acting them out, and if you wanted to be in the show, you couldn't beat me up. And so I became very popular, and I loved it. And since then I've been doing it, and that's how I started.
So you're very creative at a very early age.
I had to be. It's a matter of survival. But around, I guess around 50 years ago, I founded the East Brunswick Community Players, which is now Playhouse 22, and it was off to a good start. And then the 2 or 3 teenagers at the school came over to me and said, "You know, you did something for the adults, why don't you do something for the kids?" And I said, "Well, you can participate in the Playhouse." And they said, "No, in the summer there's nothing for us to do. We're not 16, we're only 15, and or maybe some of them sitting there with no jobs." I said, "All right, let's do something." So we started a children's theater. There was no money, and I spoke to my wife, and I said, "Look, is it all right with you if I had an egg route?" That's how I in the summertime. And I said, "Is it all right with you if I do this during the day, and I'll deliver the eggs to our customers in the afternoon or late in the day?" And she said, "Well, if it's important, you go ahead." And so we started.
When you say we, who was helping you out?
No one.
So we is you.
We is me. But Connie Reppert was the head of recreation, and she carried everything in her pocketbook. There was no office. There was nothing. Her pocketbook was the office. And she said, "Go ahead if you need $5 or $6 for something, or else make it, and we'll cover it, you know." And so and we started at Lawrence Brook School.
Do you have any recollection that first year how many participants you had in the program?
Yes, the very first show was Snow White and the Three Dwarfs. Because we didn't have, when we first started, maybe it was 12 people all together in the whole thing, and so everybody had to have different parts, and we were very surprised, and there was no admission charge for anybody who wanted to come at Lawrence Brook School that first week. The second week, instead of having 12 or 13 kids, we had 30. And then we only had about 4 shows that year. And at the end of the season, we had like 60 or 70. And I realized what was happening was the participants weren't being charged, the kids weren't being charged, and everything was free. I wasn't being paid. And so any kid who had a parent who had to go do errands. Why don't you go be in the show? and some of the older teenagers were helping out and taking care of the kids. But the kids were wonderful. They wanted to be there. They wanted to do what we were doing.
So from that 12 to 30, let's say the first year, and now in your 50th year, what do you anticipate this year in terms of participation?
Well, this year it'll be 100 and something. I don't know. But during the height of of our summer theater, we used to have over 200. The fees, the recreation fees were minimal. Maybe $10, $15, $20 for the whole season, and so that the kids who had a desire to be on stage, or kids who didn't have a desire to be on stage, but the parents were working, go. The recreation program wasn't as extensive as it is now, but we had tremendous number of participants.
So over 50 years, you probably had at least 10,000 people over.
Oh yeah. And when we first started, we had to have 2 shows, and I'm not exaggerating, but 9:30 in the morning, every seat was filled, and we had kids and parents all lining the entire auditorium. I don't sound hoarse like this for no reason.
You mentioned that before that when you got started early, the township provided some assistance. How does the township help you today?
Well, number one, now I get paid, and it's grown, and we're a little bit more sophisticated and so on. In the beginning, we used to make all of our scenery. When we were at the high school, I had a lot of friends in the New York area theater business. Because my wife and I were in the theater business as well, and we had people working for us and some of the things we did. And so when the show closed on Broadway, rather than load the scenery onto a truck and take it out to the dump, I would call the company manager and say, Javier, let me have the scenery, the soft goods, the drops. And they said, all right, as long as you can pick it up. And so we'd bring a truck. And
so not only were you in the egg business, you're in the recycling
business. No, the egg business ended eventually.
Any other donations that keeps the program going during the course of the season?
Oh, yeah. Right now, I was waiting for a call, which I just got before we started, from Daisy and Fabrics. Daisy and Fabrics is one of the most important and oldest theatrical fabric company in the United States. But they also sell to stores for displays. As I mentioned, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, a lot of glitter, a lot of all kinds of things, and of course they sell fabrics to the theater in New York, etc. And I keep bothering them. And this year, because we can't use the high school, we have to go to Churchill School, and the scenery we have used at the high school just doesn't fit Churchill School, so we have to start from scratch. And I kept calling from Florida to this lady, Parvina, who I've dealt with, and she got the controller to donate 600 yards of fabric.
So when you get in all this fabric, who helps make either the costumes or the sets?
Well, I have Michael Costa, who goes to college. I guess he's on 22, 20, maybe 24, and he's a wonderful artist. And the kids will all help. And I do a sketch of what I want, and then Michael and some of the other kids will work with. And then we'll get a whole bunch of kids to help paint. So the crime of it is we may get some fabric that's worth $25 a yard, and we're going to put them on frames for scenery and then paint over them.
Whatever works, right?
Whatever works. Whatever.
What's a typical day like at a children's summer theater rehearsal?
Well, I get there before the kids get there. I try to get there sometime between 8 and 8:30 if I can. And there are a few kids who get dropped off early because the parents have to go to work. So I take care of them. And then 9 o'clock comes, and and my counselors come, and we sit them down. They take attendance. It's about 9:15 or so. And then we work the first 1 or 2 days. For the first hour, we work on the songs, and we give them a song sheet, but we go over and over and over the big songs where everyone sings. And a lot of it is done by rote, and we try to make it as much fun as possible. you know, stand up, sit down. Let's see. How about you? You're better. Or you're louder. Things of that sort. Right. And we get sometimes into a contest, and then sometimes, if I'm not as satisfied, I put on an act myself. Oh, everybody missed it now. You know, and the kids look. What do you do? And, or sometimes I'll just put my head down and cry. Oh, then nobody's singing. You know. And the kids say, "Oh God, that poor crazy man." and they get it. It's amazing. In 2-3 days, they learn the songs. But sometimes I forget it. and then, of course, some of the leading characters, if there's 1 or 2 people who sing a song, they'll work separately. And I'm very lucky now. I have a crew who've been with me for quite a while, and you know, they come and go as they get older, and they move into some of them have been with me 10 years as campers, and now they're working with us. Maybe they started when they were 7, and they're 17, 18, or whatever. And they know the songs, they know the shows, and they help out a lot.
But beyond the singing, what's involved in, let's say, from the first day of camp to when you have, let's say, your first performance?
Okay, so the first day we do this, we learn the songs, say, till about 10:30. And at 10:30, we cast. Okay, I don't really have auditions for the parts, but I know some of the kids. I'll say, okay, let me see what you can do with this here, and a lot of it is improvisational theater. Okay, let's see. You're very angry, and you want to do something, and then the kids, say, okay, yeah, hey, you're terrific. Okay, you can be grumpy or whatever. Or if now, when we know the show we're doing in 2 weeks or so, after most of the kids go home, we tell everybody, if you'd like to have a leading role in Beauty and the Beast or whatever, please stay. When everyone goes home, we'll have auditions, and we'll stay for 2 hours or so and give the kids an opportunity to actually audition, read from the script. I write all the scripts. The scripts are all original. You can't find a children's version of some of the classics that encompasses 150 or so kids. It used to be more than that.
And how long does that take you to do? And when you even start that, for instance, if you've got camp starting soon, when do you start that process in terms of writing the plays?
Oh, during the winter. I've just finished a show that we're not going to be doing this year, but maybe we'll do it, called The Adventures of Huck and Jim, and story of Huckleberry Finn and so on. And I did it during the winter. And my son Michael will do it this year, and I'm going to ask Nancy, who'll be taking over next year, I hope, and I'm sure she will, to take the Friday off and go see their production of it, and my son Michael's pretty good at it, really good.
What are the age of the kids who actually participate with you? We
have some that are 7 and 8, but we have a lot of teenagers, 13, 14, up to 12 is the regular camp. And we have lots of 11 and 12-year-olds, but we have quite a number of teenagers. 13, 14, 15, and so on.
So that, just given the age disparities, does that create any problems for you?
No, none whatsoever. Not really, no. If we have a part that's very difficult to fill, then I use one of my counselors in that particular role.
What have you found over the last 50 years to be, let's say, some of the biggest difficulties you've encountered?
Well, for instance, this year we're going to do the Three Stooges meet the Wicked Wizard. Okay, and when I was younger and had a different voice, I used to play the Wicked Wizard, and the kids loved me because he's mean, he's horrible, he's got a sword, and all the rest of it. But I can't do it anymore. So that's a difficult role to fill, but I'll use one of my counselors for that role. It's too demanding to give to 8, 10, 11, 12-year-old, It's just too much for them to memorize in 1 week.
Now, you mentioned before that you write the plays. Do you also write the music?
I write the lyrics, and my son writes some of the music. And we're very lucky working together because he does a lot of other work besides that, and he has a thing called Theater Week. And so he goes into a studio and has the music recorded for whatever we do. And we don't have to pay for it. He pays for it. For what he does. It's there available to us.
Now again, we're in our 50th year of the Children's Summer Theater. How have you seen it change over the last 50 years?
Well, I think what the kids want to do is a little more sophisticated. Now, the first week of school, first week of camp rather, we have what we call Talent Town USA, and then we give the kids an opportunity to well, it's the first week this year because of the 4th of July week, and it's a short week. But I have auditions a week before, have them come to the library, audition in there, what they're going to do, and what they'd like to do. I find what they choose to audition with, it's very sophisticated. The dance numbers are, they're almost erotic. And I say to them, where did you learn that? And they say, oh, in my dancing school. Miss So-and-so taught to us. Miss So-and-so was teaching it. It's all, I guess, what they see on TV.
Yeah, I have a 11-year-old who thinks she's 20, so I know what you're talking about.
The first time I saw it, I said, you know, I couldn't believe the kids were doing these dances, but that's all right. And the songs they sing, to me, they all sing the same type of thing. Many of them don't know the show tunes that we knew. They're kind of unfamiliar. You know, they all know Tomorrow, and so on from Annie. But many of them come in with songs that they want to audition with. That I think are too sophisticated. And I'll say, Mary, you got a terrific voice, but I can't let you sing that song. I said, our audience is all young people, and it gives the wrong idea about relationships and so on. I said, if you can come up with something that's, and we'll make some suggestions and so forth. I said, we'd like to have you do a number because you're terrific. So we do that, so that's a big change.
Do you know if you recall if any of your former students have gone on to any careers or any activities in the theater world?
Yes, very, very much so. For instance, just yesterday, my son Michael got a call from a fellow named Kevin Getz. And Kevin is in Hollywood. He owns he started a company where they watched the films and reviewed them and so on for the studios, and then had audiences tell them what's wrong or what's good about the movie and so on. And it grew and grew and grew, and he sold the company for a few $1 million with the understanding that he still works for them for X number of years. And now he's produced his own films, and now he's producing a series for Lifetime TV program, films, whatever. But there are others. There are some who've done Broadway touring shows. That's Maureen Mershon, who did a documentary. She said to me the documentary was about children's theater, and now I learned it's mostly about me at children's theater. And I've never seen it. I haven't done anything. But I did go out to Seattle. That's where she's based. She has a TV company also, and I went out there to see what she did with her kids, because she's wonderful. She has a school, Bishop something school, and where she's the head of the theater department, the arts program, and they did Ragtime last year. I've seen a lot of high school productions. I've never seen one like this. I mean, it was just unbelievable. The kids could do this with her work. But anyway, but there's quite a number of other people who've done all kinds of things.
Well, I'm sure that in the past, your group has done some unbelievable performances as well. Has the Children's Summer Theater ever won any awards? Yes,
it was around 1990. We won the Dorothy Mullen Award for Best Children's Program in the United States, and I had to go to Santa Fe to their convention and pick up the award for the township. And this is an award given by all the recreation departments in the United States in conjunction, I think, with the Department of Interior. And first, Dolly Vasta had done a documentary of our children's summer theater, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know she was doing it. And unbeknownst to me, she submitted it through to the Channel 3 program to some group that was doing this award giving, and then we won the regional division, or as New England, Middle States, Southern States, and so on. And we won first for that area. Then we won the award for, I guess, for New Jersey, of all the recreations in New Jersey. And they had a big celebration about it in the Sands Hotel in Atlantic City. And, yeah, I went, not knowing exactly what it was. They just said, "Why don't you go to this convention thing?" I said, "All right, you know." So I went, and then they announced that they started showing this thing, and I sat back. I said, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here?" And I was awarded the recreational worker for that particular year. Well, it went further. Then it went to Washington, and it won that award. And I said, "This is crazy," you know. And then it won the national award as best children's program in the United States.
Well, congratulations on
Yes.
that. As the final curtain comes down on your 50th season, what do you think you're going to miss the most?
Well, I love working with the kids, and the cooperation I've gotten over the years. When Karen Burke was here, and now Michael Reiser, Jeff, and so on. It's just been a wonderful relationship. They've allowed me to have a staff that are really dedicated. They enjoy what they're doing. Very talented. I have one boy, Phil Solomon, who's does a lot of dance work, and the dance work that he does is very 2009, and the kids, I mean, there's no way I could do any of the things that they do, that he teaches them. And there's some others who've been with me for many, many years, and who, it's just a wonderful, a lot of the kids come back year after year after year after year, and I keep saying to them, you know, you graduated college already, you really should be doing other things. But
any special memories stand out? Any one
yeah,
event or something?
we've had one that I will not forget. I had a wonderful. He's still with me in our camp as a camper. He's about 15 now. He's really a sweet young man, handsome young man, and he had lots of talent. And he had we were doing at the end of the year, we were doing a salute to Broadway, and I wanted my counselors all to be directors, and so we broke into about 10 different groups, and they all had like one number from a favorite Broadway show they'd like to do, and the director and the counselors directed it. Well, there's one boy who really had a lot of talent, and I said, you know, let's give him something special. Give him I'm in Love with Miss Logan, which tells the story of a boy who's in love with his teacher. He finds out that she has a boyfriend waiting for her, and so on, and he weeps and all the rest of it. Well, he started singing this song, and in the first show he was wonderful. The kids in the audience applauded. They responded to this little boy's feelings about his school teacher. But in the second show, his parents and his friends and his family, I think some of them are from Puerto Rico, and you know, he came and they started applauding, and as they would, and he started singing the song, and all of us, and he looked out in the audience. I guess he saw his family there, and he just froze. He stopped. And the audience just went, you know, and then he ran off stage. He just ran off in tears. And when he got there, a bunch of my counselors, he started running out of the building, and they grabbed, and I said, Jay, you come with me. We're going back out there. Well, my counselor, you can't do that. And I said, Jay, just come. And then one of my counselors, you can't, don't do this to the kid. And I said, you keep away from me. I said, nobody's going to fail in this theater. No one. I said, so I went out and I said to the audience, I said, folks, I said, I've been around theater for a long time. There isn't an actor on Broadway, off-Broadway, and so on, who hasn't had stage fright.
Right.
You know, we all get it. And I said, but Jay is very brave, and he's come out here with me. And he was, and I said, and we're going to start the music again. And I know the song too, Jay. And I said, you and I are going to do it together. I said, I was once in love with my teacher, you know, so I know how you feel. And we started the song, and then when he got really into the part where he froze, he was able to continue, and I dropped it out, and he finished the song. And the audience went nuts. And at the end, and at the end of the performance, when the show was over, he came over and he really hugged me. And, you know, he was really very excited about it.
One last question, because we're going to run short on time.
Sorry.
That's no problem, because the stories actually are incredibly fascinating. But now that you're coming down, as I said, at the end of your career here in Children's Summer Theater, what are you going to do with the rest of your life?
Oh, God. Well, I live in Florida most of the year, and I'm too busy down there. I really am too busy. I still direct, but down there I work with adults, and I work with the senior citizens. I just finished a show called Still Laughing. We had about 70 senior citizens. I gave them a reason to wake up in the morning, and very successful. Also, I do a lot of writing, and I have a show called Millions of Miles, which played for about a month at one of the prestigious theaters in the Palm Beach area, and it's been optioned again. It's opening at another theater in Florida, and possibly it's going further. It's called Millions of Miles. It had been optioned before with Rue McClanahan playing the lead, but a few days before it opened, she discovered she had breast cancer, and so the project never materialized. But I also work on ships. I do. I know I'm an old man. It's crazy, and sometimes
keeps you going.
Yeah,
absolutely, and you're passionate about your work.
Yeah, I'm not an entertainer, but I run workshops and dealing with theater and improvisational theater, and because a lot of people like to perform and so on, I'm very popular.
Well, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Oh,
I would encourage all our residents at home to come watch this year's final production with you at the head of the Children's Summer Theater. Again, this has been Mayor David Stahl with another edition of Total East Brunswick. I want to thank everyone at home for listening and watching and hearing about Elliot's fantastic career here in East Brunswick running the Children's Summer Theater for the past 50 years. Thanks very much.